My name is Lars Helgeson. I'm the founder and CEO of Greenrope, and today we're going to be talking about opportunities. Now, we talk about opportunities a little bit in CRM for Dummies, the book that I wrote. So a lot of people ask this question of what are opportunities and how do I use them effectively? So I'm going to talk about some attributes of opportunities. So really, the reason why you track opportunities is because you're trying to sell a very high value, complex item, usually to a business. So if you're doing business to business sales and you might have maybe 10 or 20 larger opportunities in your funnel, you're going to use our system to track these opportunities. Now, these are a little bit different than how you can use a multi-stage conversion to track something that we would do, say, on the consumer side, where we're getting people to go through multiple steps to go through a funnel. But the idea is pretty much the same, where you have a funnel and we're getting people to go through that funnel a stage at a time. And so when it comes to opportunities and tracking how people move through the sales process, here we've got everyone coming in the top, and at some point people are going to be dropping out and leaving for whatever reason. They're not interested in your product or service. And so what we ideally want to do is we want to track this information about the opportunity. We want to track when people leave the sales funnel, and we want to figure out what do we do when they do. So to understand an opportunity, we have to look at the attributes of an opportunity, what actually is making up this opportunity. So an opportunity really encapsulates all the information around this deal that we want to close, this sale that we want to make. And so we're going to keep track of when that opportunity was created. We're going to look at when it was closed, or when it's going to close, when its estimated close date will be. And as a salesperson, you're going to get a feel for this opportunity will close, and I should be able to know one way or another within a month or two or 3 or 4. Now, our system will automatically track when close dates move back and forth. So you can see if salespeople have a habit of moving opportunities out, then you'll be able to see that within our system. And the other dates that we look at are fulfillment dates, which can keep track of the dates when, say, after you close the deal, when is that deal supposed to be fulfilled over a certain amount of time. So with the opportunities, we want to keep track of the value of that opportunity. So which is pretty obvious if it's going to be worth, say, a $50,000 contract or a $100,000 contract. But more than just the overall value, we want to look at opportunities broken into smaller pieces. And so an opportunity may have a value of, say, $100,000, but it might be broken into different things. So there might be services, there might be a maintenance contract, there may be some products that you're delivering. All of those things you want to break apart, because when we're looking at our analytics, we're going to want to look and see what are the various values of things that we've sold. Now, an important distinction here when the salesperson is working with an opportunity is to look at different opportunities and gauge what the % chance of closing that deal is. That's very helpful for forecasting. So forecasting allows us to look in the future, and if I'm a sales manager, I can anticipate how much business am I going to be bringing in over the next month or 2 or quarter or a year. After that, we want to look at how do we automate this process. So opportunities have phases. So in here you can see this funnel broken into, for example, 4 phases, and here this can be either a win or it can be a loss. So in this case, we're watching the opportunity progress through these different phases, and what we can do is automate what happens when people go from one stage to the next. So as we do this, we can set up a list of checkboxes, or a checklist, so that before moving from step 1 to step 2, certain checklists have to be done, and it'll be flagged if someone tries to move it from step 1 to step 2 without the checklist being done. And then we can also automate what happens. So what happens when someone gets to a particular phase, maybe that kicks off a workflow. A workflow could be assigning a CRM activity, it could be alerting someone, it could be sending an email, it could be sending an electronic document for signature. All of that would be built within the Greenrope platform. But we want to think about how do we want to automate this process. The last component of understanding your opportunities and how to set them up is to look at paths. So an opportunity path means that we're going to have a certain series of sequences that someone is going to go through. And so the way we have it set up within Greenrope is we have these little kind of sideways chevrons. And what happens is when someone goes through a particular path, they're going to go say 1, 2, 3, and then maybe they'll become a customer. But not everyone is going to go through that path if you're selling a different product. So if you have something more complex, maybe there are more paths that they have to go through. So, and I'm not an artist, obviously, but we can do this, and we can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. And maybe some of these steps overlap and maybe they don't. But depending on what you're selling, you want to bring people down a different path. And this is a very important distinction when it comes to understanding how to effectively use your CRM for B2B sales. If you're selling to businesses, your sales process is going to be different. And we talked about this before. We talked about opportunity, or we talked about journeys and mapping the customer journey, because this is going to have a big influence on how you set up these paths. So I encourage you, if you do B2B sales or you sell larger, more complex items, even if they're to consumers, that you take advantage of the opportunity feature, because it will give you a lot more insight into these more complex sales, and it will give you a lot more control over that sales process. So between the insight and the automation and the ability for you to really granularly see how your sales process is doing, opportunities are a great way to do this, and they're really a very important part of your complete CRM.